is originally titled May You Be Blessed, but I think I retitled it about generosity and the law of attraction. But I'll give you a little tip. Like when I wrote Kindness Matters, it was at a time in my life, and I'll remember it was like 4 years ago I wrote that one. I remember everybody around me seeming really unkind. You follow me? Like I started to get really upset inside myself that I was seeing all this unkindness around me. So what was bothering me and I needed to process, I sat down and I wrote this article called Kindness Matters. And the same thing happened with generosity and law of attraction. In my life at that time, I looked around and I thought, I don't see a lot of generosity around me. I'm kind of miffed about that. So I wrote, this article about why being generous was important. So watch for things that really kind of ruffle your feathers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because that's like a passion. You're talking about the passion class. Like I do have a passion for kindness. I do have a passion for generosity. I have a passion for. You have a passion for a lot of things. Do you realize that? You have a passion about learning to love yourself, don't you?
I do. I've been working on it for a while.
And but another thing is like I don't think you get mad that other people don't love themselves, but just think about that. Think about what you see in the world that maybe you want to fix, if you will. I know that doesn't sound very fifth dimensional, but again, if you're teaching, it's a little hint. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe bullying in the workforce, because we talked about that last time. Seriously, use your challenges to work through your emotions, and that's what's cathartic and creative. And talk about second chakra moving energy. Taking those difficult emotions, like feeling like you've been bullied, and then just blowing the emotions out of the water, so to speak, and sitting down writing an article about, bullying may be prevalent, but the cons are, there's other ways. Here's, 5 ways to handle a bully. Use your Course in Miracles techniques. But can you see how you can write about anything that you really care about?
Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like it's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, well, now we're just going to go over this since you're going to be a pro on the formula. I'm going to talk about this one. Learning to love thyself, the power of self-forgiveness. You wrote, learning to love myself has been my pet project for a few years now. I've come a long way and have more to go. I truly believe world peace starts with self-love, and I would love to assist in healing the world. Wow, sounds like a good article. So let's talk about that first paragraph. Learning to love thyself, the power of self-forgiveness. Okay, so you can say, you can bring up Reiki Master Teacher, or you could say as a teacher in A Course in Miracles, which you are. That sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think you need to write that down, Dana. As a teacher in A Course in Miracles, because as of tonight, you're teaching your first course, right? As a teacher in A Course in Miracles, I have learned the benefit of loving myself and the power of self-forgiveness. Okay? Now let me channel a little bit more for you here for first paragraph information. You could something like this, and again, in your own words, but I'm just trying to help you out here. Learning to love myself has been a journey. I don't think that we've been brought up to know what loving ourselves even is. I have learned through the course of my life very valuable lessons in loving myself and the power of self-forgiveness, and I'm going to share them with you here. Period. Okay? All right, so there's that first formula paragraph. Now we're going to go into the cons and the pros, okay? So you go, and so there was a time in my life when I didn't love myself and didn't forgive myself. And when I did that, tell me one thing that was so bad about not loving yourself.
Well, I was miserable. That's one thing. I was definitely miserable.
Why were you miserable?
I didn't realize it, but...
Yeah? So you can say, it created misery. Remember, we're going to stay away from the I.
Right. I'm just
Absolutely.
As it comes, but yeah.
Yep, but yep, you're gonna rework this yourself. But I'm just giving you some little pointers here, so you can turn "I was miserable" into "It created misery in my life." Who wants that, right? That's a con.
Right.
Okay.
I do believe when you dislike yourself, it projects onto others, like with the law of attraction, where people treat you the way you feel about yourself as well. So
Would that be in the number
good
one?
About yourself, you
Okay.
can, what's that?
Would that be under the first one with miserable? It creates misery? Or is that a second one?
I think it's the second one.
I do too. Okay, so it creates misery, and then talk a little bit about what that misery feels like, okay?
Okay.
Okay, second one. You end up projecting the lack of love for yourself onto other people. You don't treat people very well. That's really true.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. Okay, can you think of one more thing?
Well, you also accept people treating you badly.
And then you suffer. Yep.
Yeah, you do.
Right.
That's for sure.
So talk about that. People can read that and go, you know what? I identify with this. Yeah, I know what she's talking about. All right, so there's your cons. And now you want to say, now let's talk about this. This is going to be set up a little bit differently, since I don't know that you're not going to do an actual care for your chakras or care for your, this is going to be a different kind of self-help article. But now let's go into, tell me a little bit more about your journey. Or you can say something like, after experiencing these devastating consequences of not loving myself, I slowly started to begin on the road to self-acceptance. Something like that. Okay?
Okay, yep.
Okay, no, we can do it like that. Say, and since I feel, let's talk about one. I feel like I have more, tell me a few good things. What's different now about, what's the benefit of loving yourself?
Confidence is definitely one of them.
So instead of it creates misery, loving myself has created confidence in my life.
Confidence and empowerment.
Okay, so again, we're going with the formula. 1, confidence. Talk a little bit, a sentence or two about what that confidence feels like. Okay? 2, empowerment. Tell me about what empowerment feels like for you.
Well, I'm just starting to feel it, and it's living my dream.
Wow.
And yeah.
You have to love yourself to live your dream. That is really, I can feel all kinds of energy right now as you're saying that, because a lot of things that hold us back are the projections of other people not loving themselves that have been projected onto us, and therefore we feel stuck in the water because we're all immersed and stuck in our chakras because of low dense energy. Following me?
I do.
Yeah,
yep.
Kind of got that big hit. All right. So, along with caring for your chakras and loving yourself, you're moving and shaking, right?
I still have ways to go. I'm going to go right till the end. I know I am.
Yeah, you are.
Keep growing, but
yeah. Okay, so empowerment, and
yeah,
I could feel that when you said that. So, however you write that, it's just going to be beautiful. I know it. Okay. So empowerment. Okay, tell me one more thing about what rock's about, and talk a little bit about forgiveness. Tell me about self-forgiveness. How do you feel with that?
You're able to love others more. You're able to, when you love yourself, and you forgive yourself, you're very forgiving of others, and you're able to be more compassionate and loving towards humanity as a whole, because you're not looking at, well, I think when you feel that bad about yourself, I know it was with the case of me, I was so busy looking around at what was wrong with everybody else, so that I wouldn't deal with the fact that I really didn't like who I was.
You're absolutely right. That is one of the amazing benefits if you cannot forgive other people really fully and deeply if you haven't done it for yourself. Once you're doing it for yourself, I remember it was kind of mind-blowing when I began that practice of cutting myself a little slack and knowing I was doing the best I could. and that I deserve forgiveness, it really did create a sense of love for everybody almost instantaneously. Like, oh my God, they've probably been beating themselves up too.
Yeah,
Right?
that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
It's a
Very,
real blessing.
yeah. Good. Okay. So, we got cons, we got pros. Now, let's wrap it up and say, so, again, something about here are some techniques or here are some tips. So tell me, how do you love yourself or forgive yourself? I mean, you could say, like, something, it can be as simple as saying, I forgive myself. I mean, it didn't dawn on me for the longest time to just know that I could say those words to myself. Would you agree?
I do. That's the first thing I thought of was some positive affirmations. Start being kind to yourself. When you hear yourself saying something bad about yourself, turn it around and say, that's not true. And speak the real truth that, I am a loving, beautiful human being. Or you have to start being nice to yourself. It's not always the easiest thing to change, but
but after we read all those benefits, we want to.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so good. So that's the last part of your article where you offer your teachings, your techniques, what the journey you've experienced, not necessarily